Hey guys, I'm just getting ready for the Battle of the Sexes. What's up guys, Willie Renshaw here. Today I'm reviewing Battle of the Sexes, directed by Jonathan Dayton and Valerie Faris. This movie stars Steve Carell and Emma Stone as tennis players Bobby Riggs and Billie Jean King. And this is about their famous 1973 Battle of the Sexes match and everything that went on in the lead up to that match. I have to admit, I went into this movie not really know what to expect. I didn't know much about the historical context of this tennis match. But as I'm watching this movie, it became apparent that when this was going on back in 1973, this must have been a pretty big deal. So the reason this must have been such a big deal is because not long before Billie Jean King played Bobby Riggs in their match, Billie Jean King left the main tennis circuit because she didn't feel that women were getting the same pay that the men were. And then on the other side of things, you have Bobby Riggs, who's the total opposite of Billie Jean King, who thinks men are far superior in tennis and doesn't think women deserve any respect in the sport. Given that dynamic, I thought this movie would have been pretty interesting, or at least a little more interesting than I found it to be. Billie Jean King had a lot going on in her personal life at the time, so this match should have been a big deal, or seemed like a big deal. But it didn't really seem like that big of a deal to me just because Billie Jean King was the top tennis player at the time, and I understand that Bobby Riggs was at one point a top tennis player in his career, but in the movie, he's at this point in his life, he's such a clown that Billie Jean King beating him doesn't leave much of an emotional impact and seem like it has historical significance, where I think if they would have focused more on Billie Jean King's character and everything she was going through in her life at the time, and a little less on Bobby Riggs, you would have had that, and I think the movie would have been a little bit better. That's not to say this is by any means a poor movie. It definitely isn't. It's just for people that aren't familiar with the historical context, I think if they would have gone the route I just mentioned, it would have made the movie more enjoyable for a larger audience. Some other positives include the performances. Emma Stone is really good. Steve Carell has some humorous moments. And also, Sarah Silverman, I thought, played a pretty entertaining and fun to watch character. Some other positives from this movie, I would say, are the production design and the costumes. The costumes are very colorful and what I would imagine are pretty representative of what people were wearing during the era. The setting is also nice, definitely doesn't feel like you're living in current times and feels like you're living in the 70s. Again, at least what I would imagine it's like to live in the 70s. Ultimately, I do think this movie is worth seeing. I just think it could have done a little bit better job of showing how historically significant an event like this was if they would have gone the route of focusing more on Billie Jean King rather than Bobby Riggs. So with that being said, I would give Battle of the Sexes a 6.7 out of 10. Alright guys, I think that's going to wrap it up for today's review. Are you going to see Battle of the Sexes this weekend? If you went out and saw it, feel free to leave me a note in the comments below and let me know what you thought. If you like my reviews, feel free to check out some of my other ones, and always remember to subscribe. Till next time, take care.